All right, what's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Today is the 1st of January, 2026. Wow, new year. Sure, it's a new day, really, just like every day is. This is the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. Okay, Dante and I are here. Dante's my standard poodle. He's down here by my feet. You might see him. He's off leash. We're somewhere where it's safe for him to be. But he likes to stick right by my side, usually. So, this video's title is The Natural Curve in the Spine. What we do under In the Image Clothing Company is allow the body to work. On our main side here, one of the fourths, we have 4 sides too in the Image Clothing Company, and here we discuss the anatomy of the human body in depth. My nose is dripping, and it might periodically throughout this video because it's relatively cold here in Utah. Winter. Okay. We allow the body to work through what's physically placed on it. We're designed in the image of God, so in the image of Jesus Christ is how our bodies are designed. We're a clothing company because anything that clothes the human being is clothing the human being. Glasses, jewelry, anything placed onto the body is placed onto the body. We've got the amount of light we do, we've got the amount of light we need for this video, okay? So, clothing has to stay centered, fit correct, where we discuss clothing sits for everybody who has one, or everyone who has a body, which is every human being out there, and be made in all the ways we can from 100% natural materials. We'll wait for the airplane for a second at least. Yikes. Okay. The weird thing is I don't even see it. It's above the cloud cover, okay? So, blunt, bold, raw, and real as we do in the Image Clothing Company style, because we are only who we are. We are here as if we are actually here with you. We're just under the gift of video. We do so much, have and always will, under the gift of video, under all 4 sides of In the Image Clothing Company, so we can document eternal truths, things that apply to human beings forever, and everyone who was always anywhere at all. It doesn't matter if you were here before. I'm delivering what is truth apart from all of us, or if it's today, you're here on the same earth with me at the same time, or any time ever down the line of posterity. Truth is truth. None of us could decide it. None of us could design something we didn't, or claim that we did, or claim that it's information we can take credit for, with the human body being designed by God. There's truly only one way it could ever work. It's just a mechanical machine placed onto the rock in space that is our Earth. There is only one way the human body could ever work. All the bones are just shaped the way that they are, and they just connect to each other through ligaments. There's a thin layer of cushioning between the bones called cartilage, so the bones don't wear out. And then the only reason we have musculature that connects to those bones through tendons is just to move the skeletal frame of the body, okay? The human body is about its skeletal system's position on Earth's gravity. I don't know what to say. I know what to say, I don't know how to say it sometimes. What I'm saying is there's so much we do. We have hundreds and hundreds, right around 1,000 videos as of today's date, on all 4 sides of In the Image Clothing Company combined. We give a lot of information. I reference a lot of videos. We do what we call spider webbing, where we reference things that we've done in other things that we do so that you can get to all the things that we do. And we're all intertwined. All 4 sides of In the Image Clothing Company are geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ, and they come down to our same 5-word company name, which is really just no spaces between In the Image Clothing Company. So, what I'm saying is there's a lot to say within this, and it's a big video. Dante and I filmed a video about 3 days ago, give or take, a few days ago, from today's date back, titled The Natural Bend in the Knee. The thing is, the human body has bends. On Earth's center of gravity, there's a center line to the human body. The sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw. And these things have to stay centered over the centered pole of Earth's gravity. Dogs are the same. 1/4 of In the Image Clothing Company is In the Image Clothing Company poodles. We specialize in purebred standard poodles, but we give information that applies to all dogs, and most all animals across the earth would benefit as well, with the information applying to them. Letting dogs stay natural is really what we do. Through all the same ways we approach the human being. It's not just clothing, but eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration, everything we do as a human being. We're doing it as the human being that we are, and there's only one way the human body could ever possibly physically, mechanically operate, and it's physically impossible to train the human body to get it to do anything. The only end is to allow the body, designed by God, to work of the human being, or to let the dogs, designed by God, stay natural. Okay? The same approach, just worded differently because they're two separate sides of the four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. We do a lot here, and yeah, the center line of the body has to remain, and how this happens on Earth's gravity's pull is there's bends in the body. Not only left and right do we have musculature contracting into the center line of the body evenly on each side, opposing the center line where it connects, like our feet, opposing the center line, gripping arches inward, and they keep us vertical by stabilizing. With this opposition, there's opposing bends, there's opposition in all things. We discuss this under the gospel of Jesus Christ on 1/4 of In the Image Clothing Company. We have In the Image Clothing Company podcast, and that's what we do. We have discussions on what truly is, wow, the truth of, wow, all things. Truth, huh? What is it? Something none of us could decide, and we're all human beings, the same thing, placed on the same earth. We're designed by the same God, Jesus Christ. In his image, we all have this universal human design we have to get as close as we can to in our own individualistic situations, because we're dealing with things like breath, with a centered gravity pull, with a center line to the baseline human being structure. Every body is the same, except if you have things like a surgery, major surgery, birth defect, deformity, amputation, something that set your body apart a little bit or quite a bit, sure. There's still just a balance the body needs from its center line, like the sternum and the spine, which are immovable bones that have to stay in the center, which the musculature connects to on either side. And, breath, with expanding and contracting the rib cage in 360 degrees in every breath we take, meaning all the way around. And breath is the essence of human life. It's a physical motion, with the body just being a machine of motion, a mechanical machine. There truly is only one way all this could happen, and it would. Designed in the image of God, he designed the earth, and he designed all the things on it to just work and operate. We, as human beings, design clothing that we then place onto our bodies that does not allow our bodies to operate a lot of the time. We live in a modern man-made world placed onto God's natural earth. There's a lot of things in modern 2026 now, as of today, the first day of 2026, and going forth, that will just only get worse, that are altering our bodies. Unnatural, synthetic, artificial, in our food, in our clothing, in the things we interact with in life, and the human body is only natural. The goal is natural on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. There is no opinion too natural. All that ever existed was natural, and all that ever exists is natural. These other words are synonyms with fake. Artificial, synthetic, fake. Okay. So, the human body. We have to do all that we can to let it work, or it won't. You'll never train it. It is impossible. There are opposing bends to the body. The ankles bend backward, so above them the knees can bend forward. Above those, the hips bend backward. Above that, the lower back, the lowest third of the spine, which is the lumbar spine, it bends forward. Then, the mid-third of the back, the thoracic spine, bends backward. The upper third of the back, which is really our neck, or the cervical spine, it bends forward. And we have this front to back snaking and activation, opposing each bend as we travel up to keep us vertical on Earth's gravity. Quote, the human body only pulls, unquote. That's a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here. The human body only pulls even in what seems like a push. We're just pulling muscles together where they insert to bones at the end points through tendons. We pull muscles to extend a hinge. Even when our hand is going farther from us, extending the elbow, it's a pull of musculature that's causing that to happen. So things like stretch and clothing, they're new, just decades old as of today's date back. Tens of years back, they invented stretch and clothing with these unnatural materials that's going the opposite direction of the only way muscles could ever possibly work. And the human body can only work by the muscles pulling to move the skeletal frame. So the human body has its center line, the human body has its rotations, neutral. In the fingertips up to the elbows, neutral, with these thumbs pointing up, bent at our elbows, keeping elbows at the natural waist, is a video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, and a huge thing to put importance on in your entire life, always. We'll get into that in this, and we just discuss it where we do. With the thumbs pointing up, bent at the elbows, we have a neutral to the forearm's rotations. There's two bones in the forearm, a radius and an ulna. We rotate inward with the thumbs, internal rotation, back to our neutral. We rotate external, away from our body with the thumbs, that's external rotation, and back to the neutral. There's just a neutral the body resides in. Like with the arms hanging straight down with Earth's gravity, the fingertips are the other end of the shoulder, and that's our neutral arm. Now in the entire arm, we have from the neutral, with the thumbs up, extended at the elbows, internal rotation, rotating the thumbs in, back to the neutral, thumbs up, external rotation, rotating the thumbs out, and back to the neutral. There's only one way the human body could ever work. This is in the lower legs as well. From the foot to the knee, there's two bones in the lower leg, a tibia and a fibula, and these bones cause rotations straight from that pinky toe forward, like straight out from the pinky finger in the forearm. We have internal rotation from the neutral, pinky toe straight forward, and external rotation from the neutral, pinky toe straight forward. We have different length toes. Our pinky toes point straight forward in the neutral. From the foot to the hip, the foot is the hip, just as the hand is the shoulder. We have internal rotation from that neutral, pinky toe straight forward, back to the neutral, and external rotation from the pinky toe straight forward. So the entire body just has neutrals, and it's impossible to train at all. It's impossible to train to a neutral position of two sides because the neutral is the resting state. Okay? It's impossible to train to Earth-centered gravity pull, like our arms down at our sides. Like our body is just either leaning forward or leaning back, leaning left or leaning right. It's impossible to train the human body. That's why people keep doing it. It's no new information. It's been the same since God, always. But we don't know what we don't know, and we can't be held accountable for what we don't know. We live in a modern man-made world. We've got a lot of things altering our bodies. So the natural bend in the knee, the video Dante and I filmed a few days ago. The same things with the spine. There's a natural curve to the spine, just as there's a natural bend to the knee. We have opposing muscles, one that closes a hinge joint and one that opens the hinge joint, closing the hinge joint or extending the hinge joint, whatever side you're on. The muscles are only pulling, but they're opposing each other, and that's how we can have opposing functions. The bends in the body oppose each other, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, and that's how we can have the body staying vertical on Earth. So, there's opposition in all things. Okay? There's only light because there's dark. There's only warm because there's cold. Within the Gospel of Jesus Christ, we are on episode 198 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast as of the last one we filmed up until today's date, the 1st of January, 2026. It's a new year. Sure, not really, though. It's a new day. It's a new day. Okay. We have our discussions on universal things. We have a human body that's universal, and it has universal needs. There's only one way the human body could ever work. So why do people have bad posture? Why do we have the word posture? We don't really have the same type of phrasing for animals. We don't look at animals Dante, let's just say hi to the camera. Good boy. It's okay, good boy. He's just looking out over what you're seeing behind me. Good boy. Good boy. But I wanted to show him to the camera so that you can say hi to him in the video, in case you don't see him any other time throughout this video. We don't really talk about posture for animals. Animals don't go to physical therapy or chiropractors to try to train into a posture. It's impossible to do that. That's why. Because animals don't wear clothing, and human beings do. Animals don't design things like chairs and furniture and unnaturally flat flooring, tile, concrete, hardwood, similar things like this. Animals don't have in nature, but human beings design these things. This unnatural, modern, man-made world placed onto God's natural earth. God designed the human body to work, and it just does, it just will, within our own individualistic situations, unless or until we alter it. We place clothing on the body, and there's only one way we can place clothing onto the body. Gravity affects the clothing on our bodies as much as gravity affects our bodies themselves. And so if our clothing seams aren't sitting in the only location our bodies have seams, or if our clothing's joints aren't sitting in the same location our bodies have joints, then we will have our bodies trying to work around what we make and place onto them. So we get into what's called, well, what we call chronic patterning, where scar tissue builds up in the body and bone spurs build up in the body. Scar tissue, because the body's trying to work around things when it's not allowed to reside in its neutrals. Everything has a neutral. There's no opinion to it. It's impossible to train the human body to get it to do anything. There's no opinion possible to that. Yeah, once you see it, that's the truth. Well, it's the truth regardless. But once you see it, it's as obvious as it is. You just have to know. And we're blinded by our modern lifestyles we have, and the products that we have, and the things that we interact with that we don't design, but we're just born into what's already here. It's impossible to train posture. It's truly impossible. You have just alternating bends. They have to be evenly alternating because Earth's gravity will either pull you forward or it will pull you backward. Unless your bends are just evenly back and forth as they're designed by God to be. So, what's happening is people are placing clothing onto their bodies, or people are sitting in certain positions with musculature being cut off and deactivated, like in chair heights with the rear of the upper leg. That big muscle back there, multiple muscles, the hamstrings, being just cut into by what we're sitting on in what's become modern chair heights that's very unnatural for the body. No opinion to have, okay? But clothing seams need to be on the body where the body's seams are. And I like to say it like that so you can see what it is. I'll discuss where clothing sits, and then we'll really discuss the natural curve in the spine. Clothing sits, Dante, hey, come. Dante, hey! Leave it, come. Up. What are you eating, bro? Let me see in here, dude. That's a bad boy. Get down. No. He's eating deer doo-doo and whatever else it is. No, you leave it. Darn it. Man. We're walking over here and there's deer droppings like every 5 to 10 feet. And I don't know what else it was, but bear scat? That's what it looks like. I don't know what other animal would be making that up here. You leave it. It's a bad boy. You leave it. Look at this. We're still going to continue through the video. I'm going to touch it with my bare hands to show you that it's just what it is. Deer scat. I don't want to meet in that. You leave it. Okay. The human body's bends, right? They have to be evenly opposing each other back and forth. And let's discuss where clothing sits. This is for every body or everyone who has a body, because every body has one. Okay. Universal skeletal system for everyone. Man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be, you're just a human being. Pants have to be entirely above our hips at what's called our natural waist, where we bend side to side at the spine, because it's actually impossible to bend side to side at the hips without a foot coming off the ground. So we bend side to side at the spine because the spine bends both forward to back and side to side. Good information for this video because we're talking about the natural curve in the spine. With our pants above our hips, but below those lowest ribs, at our natural waist, we have our pant waistline sitting slightly higher in the front than in the rear, because our pelvis has a neutral to its rotations. The pelvis can tuck underneath us posterior from its neutral. The neutral is just the same level as the surface of the earth that our feet are on. And our pelvis correlates with our feet being neutral flat on the earth. So we put focus on the importance of zero drop shoes. The term zero drop in shoes means, damn dog, dude. I'm gonna cuss at this dog during this video just like that. He's eating the scat. The problem is, I've got his slip lead right here and I let him be off lead and just free roam because he's such a good dog, and then he goes off and eats the doo-doo. Man. No. Don't eat doo-doo. Man, go stick his nose in it, but I'm in the middle of this video. This is what I mean. Blunt, bold, raw, and real in the Image Clothing Company. It is what it is, dude. I'm out here disciplining my dog so he's an obedient dog. We show how to be good owners of dogs under In the Image Clothing Company poodles to keep less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes. For the health of dogs, don't let your dog eat what my dog was eating there. It's not healthy for the dog, okay? Man, I want to kick him across the park here, dude. Yikes. The feet have to be flat on the ground. Welcome, by the way. It's a ride here in the Image Clothing Company. Dante knows. And if we have heels on our feet, having heels on their shoes underneath them, that'll change the position of the feet, which is the same position as the pelvis. The feet on the surface of the earth are neutral. Then they have pointing the toes or plantar flexion back to the neutral. They have lifting the toes or dorsiflexion. So, in the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, just what we title, so you can find, the only way you can weave a rope across the top of the human foot and shape it the way the mechanics of the top of the human foot are shaped. So we have lifting the toes, dorsiflexion, half of the function from the neutral, flat on the surface of the earth, or the term zero drop in any brand of shoe. And then we have pointing the toes, or plantar flexion, which is the sole of the shoe, okay, from the neutral. So the lacing is the top of the foot, lifting the toes, or dorsiflexing the foot. Then we have neutral, the surface of the earth, where zero drops the term, pointing the toes, plantar flexion, the sole of the shoe, and then back to neutral. This is correlating with our hips being in their neutral at the same angle as just the surface of the earth. Because from our feet traveling up, our feet are on the surface of the earth, so our hips need to be as well at the same angle, okay? From that neutral in the hips, we can tuck the pelvis or the hips underneath us farther to make us even more locked out vertical that's posterior with the rotation from the neutral. The pelvis coming underneath. But our bodies stay very slightly bent into their ranges that they have within each motion that they have to stabilize. We don't want to be fully locked out posterior with the rotation of the pelvis, because then we don't have the musculature slightly activated on both sides of the functioning to stabilize. The body stabilizes because there's opposition in its functions. Each side of the functions are pulling against each other to stabilize in the neutral, okay? So from the neutral pelvis, we can go posterior, tucking or rotating the pelvis underneath us to make us more vertical. We can come back to the neutral, and then we can rotate the pelvis anterior, which is like the pelvis just falling away from us, because that's the direction the pelvis already bends anyway. If we do a hip hinge and just bend forward at the hips like a bow, that's the pelvis going essentially anterior. And so really a posterior tuck of the pelvis, or pulling the pelvis underneath us as far as we could, that's opposing the way the pelvis will go if it deactivates, because the pelvis bends back, or we bend at our hips and our hips go back. We bend at the knees and the knees go forward, okay? We bend at the ankles and the ankles go back. There's just this opposite bend in the body. That's how we're vertical on Earth, with gravity pulling us down. We're opposing gravity by the muscles pulling us up by straightening these bends, but very slightly bent still to stay activated a little bit so we can stabilize. This darn dog. It's just I treat him so well. And that's the point, is I love him so much. It's just ridiculous. Anyway. The natural bend in the spine is coming from the hips. But the waistband of our pants needs to sit slightly higher in the front than the rear, because if the waistband of our pants sits slightly higher in the front, it's like us tucking our pelvis underneath us posterior to keep us vertical on Earth's gravity. And if the waistband ever fell farther lower in the front than neutral, that would be just taking our pelvis farther into the bend it already has, and it can't straighten out to just stay vertical on Earth through the rest of the body, traveling up from there, okay? Or traveling down as well. So, the spine. The spine is the same thing from the base of the skull at the very top of the cervical spine or the neck as it is at the top of the pelvis, which is the very bottom of the lumbar spine or the lower back. So the natural curve in our spine, it starts at the feet, flat on the Earth's surface, or the term zero drop in any shoe brand. God designed the body of the human being in his image to walk or stand on the earth that he designed. The surface of the earth is flat under our feet, unless you're climbing up a mountain or going down a mountain. Okay? Then traveling up, we've got the pelvis or the hips on that same angle, flat, like the surface of the ground of our earth. With our pant waistline slightly higher in the front, just very slight, so it doesn't fall lower in the front. Either neutral or very slightly higher in the front is the point of saying slightly higher in the front, okay? With the pant waistline. And then what we have is our lower back connecting into those hips. The lowest third of the back, or the lumbar spine, after the hips traveling up have bent backward, that lower back bends forward. So we need our hips to be neutral for our lower back bend to be neutral. It'll never happen any other way because the body's a kinetic chain. We have to start at the bottom before we can address the top, but we have to start at the top before we can address the bottom. It's all connected. The human body can only ever work activated as a whole. Anywhere any of the body goes, all of it comes with. It's a chain, and each link in the chain, if you will, affects all the other links in the chain. Everything has its own individual role to play, so it can't compensate for anything else. If something's not doing its function, well, it has a different function than everything else in the body. That's why it's all there. So the body has to always stay activated in its even opposition of its musculature. Okay? Why you can't stretch the body and the human body is just mechanics. Those two videos Dante and I filmed within the past week and a half are great videos to show what I'm saying here with the opposition. Okay? You can't stretch the body because you'll stretch to one side from the neutral, but there's another side, and it all has to be working, opposing each side from the neutral to stabilize. Okay? So the natural bend in the spine, well, the lumbar spine traveling up from the hips, its natural curvature forward in the lower third of the back or the lumbar spine is determined by the rotation of the pelvis. Okay? Exactly and directly, because our spine comes down and connects exactly and directly, bone to bone, the lowest vertebrae of the spine into the pelvis. The spine's made up of vertebrae, meaning little bones that are all stacking on each other. They're only shaped the way that they are. They only connect the way that they do. They only have the amount of motion and in the angles and positions they have. This darn dog. I'm just thinking about the fact that he ate this doo-doo. It's just not healthy. It's not good for him. That's on me. I have a slip lead hanging right here on the tree. I let him off lead. It's safe for him to be here, as I said, other than the animal scat he was eating that I wasn't watching. I could have called him over and kept him closer to me, but I just let him go. I trust him, and he's a good dog. But that was not a good thing to have happen there, okay? There you go. The spine connecting with the lowest vertebrae right into the hips at the very bottom of the lumbar spine, or the lowest third of the spine, the part that does bend backward before the hips. Well, the lower spine bends forward before the hips bend backward. They're just going to do exactly what each other do. Okay? If we can tuck that pelvis underneath us by having our pant waistline never falling any lower in the front than neutral, so we keep it slightly higher in the front than neutral, just to do all that we can to ensure we can stay neutral on Earth's surface. With the rotation of our pelvis, this directly determined by the Earth's surface, because that's the bottom of our feet, traveling straight up is just the same angle from the bottom of the feet up to the pelvis. Now we've got that lumbar spine or lower back able to be neutral if the pelvis is neutral. Because above that lower third of the spine, the lumbar spine, we've got the mid third of the spine or the thoracic spine. And it's just an opposing bend. The lower back bending forward because the thing beneath it, the hips, were bending backward. Now we travel up and we bend backward again at the thoracic spine, okay? Hips bend backward, lower back bends forward. Now here we are at the thoracic spine bending backward in the middle of the back. The middle third of the back is the thoracic spine. So you're just going to have an excessive rounding backward to the thoracic spine or the mid-back, the mid-third of the back, if it starts at any end of the back. This is the middle of the back. It's like what we discussed in the video, Dante and I, a few days ago here, under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company, titled The Natural Bend in the Knee. The natural bend in the knee is coming from the things on the two ends of it, either the hips on the top end of the knee, or the foot, really the ankle, which is where the bend is, on the bottom end of the knee. The mid-back, or the thoracic spine, the mid-third of the back, is going to just be amplified by the lower back's bend on the bottom end of the thoracic spine, or the upper back, which is really the neck, on the upper end of the thoracic spine. There's only one neutral, there's only one normal, there's only one even amount of bend opposing the bend below it as we travel up the body on Earth's gravity to keep us vertical. So, the thoracic spine isn't the problem. The thoracic spine is the symptom of the problem. You'll see a lot of people in life and their mid-back is very, very round. And you'll never get your mid-back to be not round if you don't address what's above it or what's beneath it. If you have knee pain in your life, you'll never rid your knee pain if you don't address what's above it, being the hips, and or what's beneath it, being the ankles. And really the feet are the ankles. Okay? Yeah. If you're having ankle problems, it's probably your feet. Okay? The feet are the lever of the hinge that is the ankle. Okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's just mechanics. It's physics. It's measurements. And it's just a machine. It just does what it does. Okay? There's no possible way to train it to get it to do anything. There's no possible way to train posture or a straight neutral spine. It's impossible, physically. Literally. Undisputed. Once you see it. Okay? It's coming from where it's coming from. It's got to be coming from somewhere. Animals don't have differences or discrepancies in posture. Not really, unless they've had a major injury through like a fight or an attack from another animal. Or whatever injury could have come. Animals don't have differences in posture. Animals don't have clothing placed on them. Okay? Dogs do. In the Image Clothing Company poodles, keeping collars centered, leashes and harnesses. You know, we talk about and discuss keeping collars centered for human beings as well as dogs. There's just even musculature opposing the center of the neck, and really it's the jaw musculature from the jaw to the shoulders. The shoulder is the jaw, just as the ears are the shoulder. As I said earlier, the hands are the shoulders, the foot is the hip, while the ears are the jaw. Yeah, the jaw is the shoulders. Certain things are just directly connected in the body, even if it might not seem as though they are, or just directly affecting each other is the point, okay? More so than other things in the body could be, okay? Like the spine. Each of the thirds of the spine is directly affected by the third next to it, okay? But the entire body affects the entire body as well. So what we have is the thoracic spine, or the mid-third of the back, just being the symptom of the problem from somewhere else. Like knee pain being the symptom of the problem of hips being not in their normal position from incorrect angles of pant waistlines, which so commonly are falling lower in the front than just the neutral position of the horizontal surface of our earth we stand on, or down at the feet, heels under our actual heels on our man-made shoes that just change the only neutral position to lifting the foot, dorsiflexion, versus pointing the foot, plantar flexion, from its neutral, which is just the surface of our planet. There's only truth to life. There's no opinion to ever have that could matter on anything. That includes all of us. Myself included is what I mean. No opinion. Yeah, no opinion. No opinion. There's only truth. Ever. There's only truth. You can't have an opinion on anything unless there's first something there to have an opinion on, and that thing is the truth. You can't believe or believe not of something unless at least you're first there. And so what's the truth of how that happened before that thing, being you, could even have a belief? There's only truth to life. The gospel of Jesus Christ. Not my opinion, don't believe me. As we say, don't believe me, Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Don't believe Dante, who got yelled at by the founder of In the Image Clothing Company a few minutes ago here for eating the animal scat. We might take the camera over there, maybe, once I'm done discussing this, and see what he was eating. After I yelled at him the first time, he kept chomping on it, and I yelled louder because that's not Dante's behavior. Dante's a good dog. But I'm giving Dante a lot of experiences he probably never had before I adopted him at right around 2 years old, you know, just a little over 2 weeks ago from today's date, the 1st of January 2026, actually, yeah. So, yeah, there's only truth. But don't believe Dante, don't believe any In the Image Clothing Company team member, human being wise, or any of our poodles. We'll have many as time progresses, right? Don't believe anybody ever in life, don't believe anything, and see what happens. Stuff has to still be there. There's a lot of people out there that don't have any beliefs, and they still exist. There's only truth to life, and that is Jesus Christ, the great I am, God, the eternal, the creator of heaven and earth and all things that in them are, the same yesterday, today, and forever. Truth, there's only truth. The truth is, it's impossible to get the natural curve in the spine. You can only allow it to be there because what it is it's an opposition of bends opposing Earth's gravity's pull that is truth, apart from all of us, that will never change. Okay? And what it is a mathematical angle that needs to be evenly opposing, and math is truth. It's universal and it will never change. Mathematics is God. God is the truth. The truth is another name for God. Jesus Christ is God. The gospel of Jesus Christ. There's only truth to life. There's no opinion to ever have that could matter, and that's it. Myself included. Okay? We're imperfect humans. Okay? Spine curves. So the thoracic spine, it gets a lot of bend to it a lot of the time because, well, let's talk about what's above it. The upper third of the spine, or the cervical spine, which is the neck, it bends forward. Okay? Let's talk about it from the pelvis up. The pelvis or the hips bend backward. The lower back or the lumbar spine bends forward. The mid back or the thoracic spine bends backward. And then the upper back or the cervical spine, really the neck, now is bending forward, just to continue the opposing bends on Earth's vertical gravity pull. Okay? There's a center line, front to back. There's a center line left to right too, but the spine is curving front to back as it's coming up. Okay? Starting at the feet first on Earth's gravity as our foundation. Okay? It has to start at the feet, or you'll never address your back if your feet are altered. You'll never address your back if your hands are altered and have it work. Okay? That's all connected. So what we have at the cervical spine is this forward bend, but what we have often is tags in clothing. Tags in clothing didn't exist, by the way, just decades ago from today's date, just tens of years back. It became a legal thing to do because of these unnatural, artificial, synthetic materials placed into our clothing. People were having reactions to them. We discussed the epidermis. Well, that's a video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company here. The epidermis, the skin of the body. It's an organ, and that's what it's called. The epidermis. We place a topical cream on top of the skin, and it soaks into the body through the holes in the skin called pores. where the sweat or perspiration comes out. And our intent is to heal the body from the inside out. We place unnatural clothing onto our bodies, and it poisons the body from the inside out, in a sense, okay? Plus, it can bring with it stretch. Okay, stretch in clothing goes the opposite direction of the only way the muscles could ever work. Muscles only pull. The human body only pulls. The muscles only contract. They get shorter. They pull two endpoints or multiple endpoints together directly in line. That's it. Okay? There's opposing muscles in the body to any function, or there'd be no function to the body. So, the opposing bend in the spine. Once we get up to the cervical spine, the upper third of the back, really the neck, we often nowadays have tags placed into our collars in the rear. And our collars need to sit evenly around the circumference or the circular shape of our neck. In the Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification is just anything discrepant or different in the collar of our top, not allowing it to sit evenly around the circumference of our neck, and balancing the musculature supporting our entire body, and really supporting our entire body because it goes directly to the jaw, and the jaw stabilizes the entire body. The jaw is the shoulder. It travels through the collar of the top. Okay? Connected directly to the shoulder from the lower jawbone or the mandible. We put so much focus on the jaw under In the Image Clothing Company for that reason. Okay? We've got a lot of videos talking about the jaw, the importance of even jaw musculature, the importance of the corners of the mouth, eating and drinking with the left hand, really just meaning non-dominant to keep our jaw centered as we use it, to break down food. It wears down through friction, but then also training the musculature into an imbalance. You can't train musculature necessarily other than growing it, and then it will just atrophy and go back to how the human body is always only normal after you stop trying to train something to gain musculature. There's only one way the human body could ever work. Hypertrophy is just the opposite of atrophy. Hypertrophy is musculature's size that you gain, and then it just stops gaining and goes away once you stop working out. I'm just hearing a noise. I don't know if it's horses' feet or if it's other animals charging through the brush and Dante's off his lead. It's probably horses. Anyway, he'll be fine, but I just don't know what it is for sure yet. So, yeah. There's only one position for the spine. And if we have a tag placed on the rear of the spine, right at the base of the cervical spine where it's meeting the top of the thoracic spine, right at the base of our neck where the collar of our top is sitting, this tag, it's either causing a physical gap, changing the body's only working position, and or just not allowing musculature to activate, which there's no compensation that can be had through the entire body. There's only one way it can work, and that's activated as a whole. And so if we've got part of the body having a tag placed against it, it's just going to excessively push that part of the body away from where the tag is. It's causing a physical gap. We have two prerequisites under In the Image Clothing Company, in addition to just where clothing sits for everyone, to not alter the body. The first is to remove all tags from clothing. Anywhere tags are placed in clothing, they're either causing a physical gap, as I just said, altering the body's only working position, and or just not allowing musculature to activate. That's what I normally say when I discuss one of our two prerequisites being removing all tags to not alter the body. Okay, under In the Image Clothing Company. So, secondly though, is In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, which I have discussed in this already. That's our other prerequisite, in addition to just where clothing sits. So the body can just be allowed to work. And we get in depth with a lot of things. We give a lot of free modifications. In the Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification as one of the many. But yeah, there's a lot to discuss. We have a lot of discussions that we've already had on it as of today's date. Hundreds and hundreds of videos, coming up on 400 videos on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company alone as of today's date. So yeah, the 1st of January 2026 is today's date. What we have is pushing forward of this cervical spine because there's just a physical gap from a tag in the rear of our collar. Doesn't just affect the cervical spine. It travels down and excessively curves the thoracic spine, travels down and excessively curves the lumbar spine. But at the lumbar spine, which is where our pants waistline is, right above our hips there, on the rear, there's often tags placed there as well. Or a belt buckle right in the center. Or a rope, like a drawstring, stitched in the rear of the pants. And these things will cause the rear of the pant waistline to pull up, which is taking the pelvis up in the rear, which would mean it would be going down in the front. And that's an anterior rotation, opposing us staying vertical on earth and having the neutral bend in our spine. Okay, the neutral bend in the spine. This video's title under In The Image Clothing Company's main side. So, see how good he does? That's why I get so mad at him when he's doing something that he shouldn't, because he's such a good dog. He's so ridiculously smart. So when he does something that's just like out of character for him, it really sets me off big time. Like it makes me yell the way that I yelled at him there, because that's not Dante's normal behavior. But, you know, he's never been here, you know. And I give him a lot of beautiful experiences. He just has to know his parameters. He doesn't know what he doesn't know. I gotta teach him, and that's what I was doing there, yelling at him, right? So, he's just like us as human beings. We just don't know what we don't know. We have to remove all the tags from our clothing. If you have tags in the rear of your pant waistline, right on your lumbar spine, the very base of your spine, right above your hips or your pelvis, yikes. You'll excessively curve your lumbar spine forward, and now that travels up through the mid-back or the thoracic spine, excessively curving it backward, just because we've got to oppose the bends on Earth's gravity's pull. And then we get up to the neck or the cervical spine, the upper third of the spine, and then it'll excessively curve forward just to oppose the bend. So it's either coming from the top down or the bottom up, because anywhere any of the body goes, all of it comes. There's only one way the human body could ever work. No opinion to ever have. It's no new information. It's nothing to do with me. It's truth. You couldn't dispute it if you'd want to. If you really got down to what's actually happening. You can have all the opinions you want on it, but that's pointless. Damaging to only yourself first, and then others as well. Right? I mean, yeah, we're lying to ourselves and God if we don't accept truth. There's only truth. It applies to every body. Catch the phrasing. But this is the thing, is we just don't know, and we just have to legally put tags in clothing. That's a big thing, you know, in modern day, at least, at this time period, that's how it is. In the United States of America, at least, that's how it is. You know, it's just, it is, as of now, right? It's new, though. It never happened in the past. We're dealing with things that human beings never could have physically possibly had to deal with in the past. These things are invented. They're new. They're not real. Synthetic means not real. Synthetic materials are what these tags are almost always at this time period made out of. So, placed against your lower spine and the rear of your waistband of your pants, or placed against the rear of your spine and the collar of the rear of your top, the rear of the collar of your top, right? Your body will just be trying to get away from these things, and it's just excessively curved because there's just something in the way. And so to get the neutral curve in the spine, we just have to have nothing in the way. And you'll never do it through any kind of workouts or stretching. I mean, don't let me try to tell you something. It's the truth. It's undisputed. You can go work out all you'd like, all day, every day for the rest of your life. If you've got a physical gap between the clothing placed on you and the spine that it's placed around because there's a tag or just a synthetic material or even a natural material placed into the clothing just causing a physical gap there, yeah, you'll never overcome that. It's like me taking one of these leaves and just sticking it behind my spine, between my skin and the clothing placed onto my body. It's just in the way. It's a secondary thing to the clothing. They place tags in there to just give information. There's words placed onto the tag so we know what the clothing is. Because often now it's not 100% cotton, as it almost always was in the past. There was nothing else. These are new, literally fake, not even real materials. They're blended and they're heated and they're just processed in a factory through such a weirdly unnatural, artificial, synthetic way. It's like conjuring up some terrible poison, in all truth, and they put it onto our bodies in the tags of our clothing. Often clothing is just made out of these things, right? When I say right, what I mean is that's what the tags are telling you. And then the tag itself is yeah, just a secondary thing to the already unnatural clothing that we often have nowadays. And going forth, it's only going to get worse. It's been prophesied about since God, meaning always. We have the scriptures, the Holy Bible, the Book of Mormon. We have things that we can read to know the truth of life, and you don't have to believe in anything, because I personally do not. But Jesus Christ is God. He is there, He is here, and now and always. There is only one way the human body is designed in His image could ever possibly work. It's just a machine. Dealing with gravity is the big thing. Keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity, your center of gravity, staying in your center line. These are 3 videos under In the Image Clothing Company's main site here that we have specifically discussing gravity. And so much of what we do is just dealing with gravity as human beings, and so keeping things off the spine. That's actually a video that I filmed and placed under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company probably about a year ago from today's date back. Today's the 1st of January 2026. Wow, there you go. I know I've said it a few times in here. I think that's the 3rd, but there you go. Okay, it's just a new year. Who cares? I don't. What I do care about, though, is giving truth to the entire planet. Because I didn't decide it, so I can just be a mouthpiece for God to use. And that's where we need to be, is at God's feet, for Him to use us, not for us to get what we want. You can try to get your body to do whatever you want. It is impossible, though, no matter what you believe, okay? The truth is, the natural bend in the spine, the only way you'll ever get it is unaltering the body if it has been altered. Allowing the body to work, really, okay? In the Image Clothing Company's main side's slogan, which is where you are here. We have anything and everything affecting the body that could affect the curvature of the spine. Our tops that we wear have seams on top of our shoulders that need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders. Our shoulders just only ever work behind our head. The shoulder is a joint of 3 bones. The collarbone or clavicle coming up from the center of the body in the sternum to the peak of the shoulder. And that's really where the shoulder seam sits behind, is the other end of the collarbone, from the sternum in the center up at the very peak where it meets the other 2 bones. The upper arm bone or the humerus coming up and meeting the end of the collarbone, and then the scapula or shoulder blade, we have 2 of them, one on each of the sides of the upper back. Behind the rib cage is where those bones sit. They're big flat bones. They can only sit behind the rib cage, and they meet the upper arm bone or humerus and the collarbone or clavicle at the edge of the shoulder joint. So our shoulders will just follow shoulder seams because our shoulders are being pulled down with gravity. And as they do so, the neutral is just the fingertips from the shoulder capsule. as I showed earlier, toward the beginning of this video, under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here. What we have, though, is gravity also pulling down on our clothing as much as it's pulling down on our body. Gravity has the same effect on everything that it's affecting on our Earth. And so our tops are pulling down on our shoulders, and so wherever the seams are sitting, our shoulders will follow because there's just a peak to the shoulder, and it's a bone that we pivot on from the center line of the body out, that clavicle or collarbone, okay? Just two names for the same bone. So what we have is our shoulders following shoulder seams. It just happens because of gravity, if nothing else, okay? Oversized clothing and the collarbone is a video here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. Internal rotation from the shoulder to the internal rotation from the shoulder to the foot is another video here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, where the collarbones are very much involved. How oversized clothing causes tight pectoral muscles is a video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here. And really the point is, if we're not intentional with our clothing, it could cause tight muscles, okay? Chronically short muscles from clothing, a video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here. There's just only one way the human body could ever work. Those are just some of the few of our many hundreds of videos on our main side of In The Image Clothing Company alone as of today's date, the 1st of January 2025. Eternal truth. Not my opinions, I'm just discussing something that I've gained an understanding of that we all have. As the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, I am in this for life, doing this, leading In The Image Clothing Company. This is what we do. We discuss the anatomy of the human body in such depth there couldn't possibly be a dispute. It doesn't matter to have an opinion. It's only damaging, like I said earlier, on the end of someone else, but for myself, to myself and others. If I had an opinion that I was trying to push or preach, there's only truth to life, and we can understand it individually and personally. That's really us saying we can have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, our God himself. No opinion, okay? Don't believe me, okay? Truth is truth. But as I say, if you've got a problem with us, stick around. Deeper context brings deeper understanding, and boy, do we have deep, and deep again, and even deeper as we continue to deepen our context. Okay, we have a lot that we do through a lot that we do, if you can see what I mean. And so the natural curve in the spine, there you go. The shoulder seams sitting behind the peak of the shoulders, and our shoulders only ever possibly sitting behind our head because the musculature connects from the bone of the shoulder, that is the scapula or shoulder blade sitting behind the rib cage, and then from those scapulas or shoulder blades the muscles connect into the spine. The shoulders only can ever possibly work behind the head. The muscle that lifts the shoulder, one of the three trapezius muscles, the upper trapezius muscle, from the middle and lower, the most upper trapezius connects to the very base of the rear of the skull as it comes up from connecting to the cervical spine or the spine of the neck. So the shoulders only ever work behind the head. Mechanically, it's just impossible for them to work anywhere else without compensation through the entire body. The human body can only ever work activated as a whole. It's all there, okay? As we've said a couple times within here so far. So, anyway, the big point is, it's your clothing, and there's no opinion to it. Clothing truly is the only fix to human beings' physical problems, at least the physical problems we discuss under In The Image Clothing Company. And it is universal. Little Dante dog got screamed at. He's had a rough day. It's been a big day for both of us. I cut his hair too, you know. It's just been a hard life right now. For those of you that know, those of you in my own personal family that know, you know the time period. You know, those of you that know In The Image Clothing Company, we date mark what we do. Today is the 1st of January 2026. Dante and I have been going through a lot of rough stuff. It is what it is. It's just life. But it has been very hard. So I'm grateful that we were able to get over here and film this video today, because I tried to film it earlier. It was pouring rain for hours today. It rarely ever rains in Utah. It's just very uncommon for it to, especially down in St. George, Utah. Dante and I will be moving down to St. George, Utah as soon as we can, as soon as it's God's will for us to go down there. St. George, Utah is the very southernmost part of the state of Utah in the United States of America. It's a true desert. Red rock, sandstone, beautiful though. We filmed quite a few videos. Well, I didn't have Dante yet, but I, as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, Evan Strong, filmed quite a few videos about a month and a half ago in St. George, Utah, and it was beautiful. They're placed here under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. There's some under In The Image Clothing Company Music and under In The Image Clothing Company Podcast. I filmed one episode down there. It was actually titled Taking Care of Our Dogs. That was the only episode of In The Image Clothing Company Podcast I filmed on that trip down to St. George, Utah about a month and a half ago. It was November 2025, okay? So, anyway, we'll move down there. We do things like poodle parade events under In The Image Clothing Company Poodles, getting people into nature, well, human beings into nature. Same thing, right? And dogs into nature. Bring your poodles, purebred of any size or mixed poodles of any size. Don't come for us, me, Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, or our team, or any of our poodles, right, which are our team. Don't come for us, but we'll do a lot for the environment, like clean the creek or rid the rubbish, specific subcategories of poodle parade events where we will actually be cleaning up trash, helping the planet. So come for the reasons we're having the events. Come to have fun, come to be in nature. Don't come to like meet and greet us, okay, as the team of In The Image Clothing Company. But yeah, we do a lot, you know, discussing how to be a good owner of dogs on In The Image Clothing Company Poodles, the height of dogs versus the height of owners, holding leashes and collars. Naturally, you wouldn't be holding a collar quite like you would hold a leash connected to a collar. But we give free modifications in human being clothing and in dog products. We will always have good human being clothing and dog products, and whatever else we branch out into product-wise under In The Image Clothing Company to do what we do. Let dogs stay natural and allow the body to work, and we do a lot here. We have one other fourth of In The Image Clothing Company that is In The Image Clothing Company Music. We show sizing and setup of guitar to not alter the body, things like that neutral wrist. We just discuss in all aspects of life, fingernails and toenails cut relatively flat, but to the very tips of the fingers and toes to fully back and support them to keep us in that neutral position, the neutral wrist position and the neutral gripped arch position in the foot. We discuss the rounding that is in our hands. Dante and I filmed a video just a couple days ago on the main site of In The Image Clothing Company here titled The Open Palm and Internal Rotation. And the hands just only work round. So we discussed that in guitar setup. We do a lot on In The Image Clothing Company Music with rhythm and poetry, spoken word, singing, guitar playing, okay, lyricism, a lot of music geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka, no opinion, but the truth of all things with the messages, okay? So there you go. That's a lot of what we are, a lot of who we are, a lot of what's going into the spine. As I say, you know, especially around these time period videos, our foundational videos, really, you know, they're just date marks. A lot of them, that is what it is. It's just to show the congruency. We've been saying the same thing since the founding. We're based on the same things we always have been, and there you go. But there's a lot more that I could say in here about the natural bend in the spine, the natural curve in the spine, why it's not there, how to release or rid chronic patterning or scar tissue that has been built up, and especially in this right-handed world. 85%, give or take, of human beings are right-handed. So we get into a right-handed patterning, rotated clothing, and clothing designs in themselves are most always right-handed in the positions, in rotations they'll put our bodies into. So we just do what we do here under In The Image Clothing Company, and you know, me being in this for life, Evan Strong as the founder / leader of In The Image Clothing Company, we as a company, me personally as the founder and leader, will continue to deepen our understandings of what we do here. I'm just watching Dante to see if he's eating more feces or if he's just sniffing around. But we know what we're talking about. Don't believe us? But truth is truth. You can't dispute truth without just lying to yourself and God. Okay, even if you don't believe in God, that doesn't matter. I don't. I know him. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled, You Don't Need to Believe in God. And this is our podcast under In the Image Clothing Company, one of our fourths, where what we do is have discussions on God, as he says that he is. So it's kind of ironic. It doesn't make sense if you don't get it at first. We don't know what we don't know. We can't be held accountable for what we don't know, but there is only truth to life. The truth is, we don't know everything and never will in this life, okay? We're just equals, though equal human beings, sons and daughters of God, placed onto the same earth here. And this earth has this modern man-made world that we've created just as a society, as a population, and it's very damaging to us. So there you go. That's what I will say in this video. I'm going to grab this camera here. Here's my tripod, a sock and a tree. We are here in Utah County, Utah. There's Dante's slip lead. There's Dante, my standard poodle. Let's come down here and see what he was chomping on, because it was right here somewhere. Anyway, maybe I won't show it if I can't find exactly what it was. Oh, it was right here though. It looks more like bear scat than deer scat. And there's some other around here as well that looked a little bit different. I don't know, maybe it is just from the deer, but he's a good boy. Look at him all happy, wagging his tail. But no matter how good of a boy he is, that doesn't mean he can do bad behavior and not get screamed at and maybe spanked a little bit for it, huh, bud? Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. We're out here with stuff that's just naturally around. Dante just doesn't know what he doesn't know. Me just having adopted Dante only a little over 2 weeks ago, I don't know if he's ever been on any hikes or anything, or been around things that I have allowed him to be since I adopted him. So there's certain things that he has to just know, and he just couldn't unless he was taught, as is the case for all of us. So thank you. Today is the 1st of January 2026, as I've said. Goodbye.